Sorry. There was a tree that fell down in the yard this morning, like across the street. And so I was recording a podcast this morning, and meanwhile they have like the wood chipper going. I'm like, oh my God, of all times.
Wow.
But anyway, all right, cool. Let's get into it.
All right.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Everybody watching live or on the replay. Thank you so much for being here on our Cash-Based Practice Owners Huge Mouthful interview series. And we have our lovely guest today, Reina. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this.
Yay! Yeah, so we're gonna jump right into it. You know, we've interviewed a ton of other practice owners so far, and really what I'm trying to do with this interview series is just show that, you know, one, it's possible for anybody to do anything that they want. You know, it is all out there for you, and like also show like all the really cool and unique things that like therapists are doing that have followed a non-traditional route. You know, it can look like whatever is going to work best for you and whatever's going to work best for your patients too. So
yes, I love that message, because I feel like when people think about having a private practice, they think like this huge, like full time with 10 therapists. I'm like, no, like slow down.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it doesn't, like we were just chatting about before we got on, you know, you don't have to have a caseload of like 20, 25, 30 patients in order to make it, you know, your full-time thing.
Right.
There are a bunch of different ways to do stuff. So cool. Well, let's jump into it. So to kind of start off, Reina, if you don't mind telling us a little bit more about your background, where you came from, and then like a little bit about your journey and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'm an occupational therapist. I have been for 7 years, which is not a long time. Everyone who hears that, it's like, oh my gosh, like you're only been an OT for 7 years, but it feels like a long time to me. I got my master's in 2013, and then immediately after went for my doctorate, my post-professional doctorate, which is a little bit different than things are going now, where people are doing entry-level doctorates. So my post-professional doctorate was very focused on making my clinic better where I was working at the time. And that clinic just had really poor carryover with parents. They weren't really doing what they were supposed to be doing. And they would say like, my child's doing really great with you, but I just can't get them to do that at home. And so I was like trying to find how we can help them at home. And telehealth was the answer. Like I'm a techie, and so it just fit really well into like my passion, and it fit really well into the model. But life happened, and I ended up having to quit that job. And so when I did, we were like, well, what are we going to do now? And so I had to continue with my capstone, my thesis, whatever you want to call it. And I had to end up doing it on my own. So like find a client on my own and like do eval to discharge on my own. And that's when I was like, well, if I can do this for the capstone, I can do it for my business. It worked really well when I did it in school. And so after that, I just started my business, and that's where I am now. And it's amazing.
That is amazing. So how many years have you had your own business?
My business technically has only been open for a little over a year, but I've been doing telehealth informally since school ended.
Oh, okay.
So 4 years ago.
Yeah, so I feel like this year, you know, telehealth has definitely been like a really hot topic, but you know, it's been around for a while, you know, and people have been using it effectively, which is amazing.
Yes.
So, your practice that you have right now, tell us a little bit more about like who you treat and kind of like maybe like a typical plan of care, like how things go with that.
Yeah, so I work with kids with autism who are homeschooled. I had to niche down a lot, which is a huge tip of mine for anyone who wants to start their own business. I was like, I'm going to be the pediatric telehealth OT and serve. And I had all my diagnoses listed on my website, and like crickets. So now I am very specific to kids with autism or sensory processing disorder who are homeschooled. And I absolutely love working in this community because they already want to learn like what to do with their child. So the telehealth model is perfect because I tell them what to do. I help them on their relationship, like parent-child relationship, and they execute. They're my hands. They do the strategies. They do the interventions. And often they come away planning their own stuff by the end of it. So I try to do a 12-week plan. I wanted to move away from this whole, I was seeing kids in the clinic for like 4 years on end, like nonstop. And I'm like, they weren't progressing, or they were progressing very little, and there was no parent involvement. So I really try now to say from the very first call, like, you are going to be present in my sessions, like you're going to be my hands, you're going to be an active participant to the parents, and have them actually like learn how to be their child's therapist or close to it and feel confident that they can do the interventions without me. And so we really have a focused like 12-week plan with my clients, and discharge after that, and not continue to see them like for years on end.
That's awesome. It sounds like it's really helpful. Like that's one thing I feel like I've learned when trying to like sell your services is people really like a plan. They like being able to see, you know, like point A, point B, and this is what's going to happen. And people are definitely way more comfortable in like buying into that than like we're going to work together twice a week until forever. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not going to just like buy therapy once a week from now until question mark. They really want to see like a stopping point. It helps parents to really visualize like progress and success, and yeah, it's just great.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So you've been doing telehealth for a while, and your business has been open for a little while as well. If you can think back to like when you were first getting started, you know, the first couple months into it, what do you feel like were some of the biggest challenges you had?
Definitely finding clients. Like that's definitely like, where do I get clients? That's like number one question. How do I get clients? Um, like I said a minute ago, like I was trying to market myself as like I can treat everybody and anybody. And so just not even knowing like marketing wise that you don't do that. So like all of marketing, what that meant, and like I was trying to do kind of like the old school marketing, like going to physicians and stuff like that, because that's what brick and mortar practices were doing, and that just didn't fit well for me. And so marketing in general was like the toughest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you can get kind of caught up in it, especially with everything that's online, you know, recently. You know, there are a ton of different strategies that you can use. And I think that one place that people have been getting stuck is like, okay, well, I'm going to try all 15 of these tactics all at the same time, and also to every single audience under the sun. You know, and then they get really frustrated when they're not able to find any clients.
Exactly. Yep. And that's exactly what I was doing. It was like, start a blog, go talk to physicians, go like start a YouTube channel. And start a YouTube channel, but like all these suggestions, and like I was literally trying to do all of them, and yeah, it wasn't sticking.
Yeah, and then, you know, not only do you get like frustrated with not finding a client, but it's also exhausting
Mm-hmm.
to just be like spinning your wheels constantly and not really getting anywhere. So I love that advice, like niching down. And I've talked to quite a few OTs, and I'm working with a couple of them right now who are looking into like pediatric telehealth. So I definitely think that this will be a good interview for them, and maybe I'll send them your way too.
Yeah.
Um, who, you know, they are having trouble niching down, but I love your niche, and like to speak to people who are already doing stuff at home. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's really important to think about with, you know, marketing and finding clients is, you know, if your like audience, say, you know, is all like 75 plus or
Right.
something, but you only ever do Instagram posts, you're
Yeah,
probably not going to find them.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had this talk with Laura Park Figueroa, who's a big, yeah, Instagram, Facebook OT. She's awesome. She has a podcast and everything, about like nature-based services versus like telehealth. Like I mean, not saying that you can't do telehealth outside, because I have done it, but I'm not going to market to families who value like hiking all outdoors and say like we're going to only do indoor stuff. Like you really
Mhm.
have to cater to like your client and understand really what they need and not what you think they need. And as OTs, it's really hard to it's really hard to niche down, because we think, well, I want to say we know, because I'm like, yeah, we can help everybody. We think we can help everybody, and then we end up helping nobody. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then like you just get exhausted too. Like say you did somehow market to everybody and like get 5 different clients, but if they're all like 5 different diagnoses, 5 different ages, and they're all like back to back to back, it's just like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It's so much for your
Planning
brain.
wise. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so kind of going off of that, I know like this piece, like niching down in marketing is definitely key with finding clients, but I get asked all the time, like how do I find clients? Do you have any other suggestions on getting out there and bringing people onto your caseload?
Yeah, we were just talking about this in my business group, and my number one advice for marketing, which is not really marketing advice, is just to establish relationships with people, like genuine relationships with other professionals, with communities where your client is and other businesses, and just genuinely start talking to people and just build relationships and connections and establish like your network and just continue to expand that. And that's really been what's worked for me. My last referral came from a connection with another OT, and you think like, oh, another OT, like she's competition, but she has her own niche area. 2 OTs have recommended clients to me, and they both have their own areas, and they're like, I do not do kids with autism. I do not do homeschool kids. Like you can have them. And that's where my referrals came from. And it wasn't even me going up to them and saying, hey, can you send me your referrals? It was just me talking to them, getting to know them. And after a period of time, whenever they think like peds, telehealth, autism, homeschool, they think Reina, and they suggested my name in a Facebook post, and that's how I got my referrals. So it's a long, marketing in and of itself is a long process, but building relationships and establishing like your network has been the most effective strategy for me thus far.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And like that's one of the key things that will make such a huge impact on your business and finding clients, bringing in referrals. I've talked to people who like just set up and then all they do is like run ads, and
Mm-hmm.
then they get really frustrated that they're not getting any clients or anything. But,
Yep.
if people don't know who you are, you're not going to be able to find anybody.
Yeah, no, I tried ads. I made all the mistakes, trust me. Like ads got me nowhere. Talking to physicians locally got me nowhere. Offering to do free workshops, which I still suggest, but that got me nowhere. It was like building relationships and establishing my social media presence that really got like me referrals.
Yeah, I think that's
Mm.
great. Like the thing with the free workshops too is like you have to kind of have like an audience first in
Exactly.
order to like advertise the free workshop. Otherwise, it just falls on deaf ears too.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, but awesome, great
Mhm.
advice. If you were to like reach out, say like you've never done any networking before, and somebody needs to start doing this because they just started their practice,
Mhm.
what would you suggest as like your first couple steps? Like, I'm so scared. I don't know what networking is. What do I
Yeah.
do? What would you say?
My first. Okay. I would say probably find a Facebook group where your ideal client is. I think that, and just start like studying them and just start like learning what they're saying that they're struggling with, what their needs are, and really like learning about them. And providing like providing value within those groups. And eventually after you just continue to answer people's questions and provide value and suggestions, and they're going to be like, oh, Reina's like the expert, like she knows, let me go check out like her profile. Then they go and find you and find your business page. And so again, that's maybe not really establishing like relationships or networking, but it is because you're relating to these people in this community, in this group. And so I think that is probably my, I would say the first thing that I would do. The second, maybe getting on LinkedIn and connecting with like other professionals, which I haven't really done, but I think that is, I mean, I started to like this year, but it's hard. And I think that I'm mentioning it because I think it's a really good avenue,
Mhm.
where we think of each other as competition, but in reality, again, like letting other OTs or other whatever professionals know who you are, they can then send you referrals when you least expect it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool to get to know like other providers, because then if you do get referred somebody that you don't want to work with, you have somewhere to send them.
Exactly.
Like I have a friend in the city who is a mobile therapist, and she works with geriatrics, and like, that's a fine population for me. Like I don't, like love it or hate it, but I would prefer to work with like the 25 to 45-year-olds, who go to the CrossFit gym, whereas she likes to do joint replacement therapy with
Mm,
like the older population. And so like I had a referral from somebody who was like 75 and mostly bedbound. And I was
mm.
like, you know what? I'm not the person for you,
Yeah.
but I have somebody that I can recommend.
Yeah,
And it'll go both ways, just like you were saying.
exactly. And isn't it like such a good feeling too, knowing exactly like who your ideal client is and not, and being able to say
Mhm.
no? Like I just had an experience recently, like my first from the coaching side, where like an OT was recommended to me for help with telehealth, and I got on a call with her and she told me what she needed, and I was like I absolutely cannot help you with this. Like, and it was
Yeah.
just like I like it was like a weird feeling because it was like, damn, like I can't help her, but it was like, okay, I know I can't help her. Like it's a good feeling to know exactly what it is that I can do and what I can't do. And I just was able to recommend her to other people and explain how I can support her if she so chooses, like this avenue.
Yeah.
So excuse the screaming child.
It's okay.
Life of a telehealth mom right here. Full transparency. My toddler's having a meltdown tantrum right
Everybody's just trying their best.
now. She's not alone, I promise.
Yeah. And I mean, that brings up another good point, is people worry about being like completely perfect as like a business owner. Nope, it doesn't
Nope.
happen. And people love you more for it.
Yeah, that's so true. Whenever you let your personality shine, people are like more attracted to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we go. Anybody can relate, all you moms out there.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to ask you about. So are your cash pay, right?
Yeah, so my situation is like a little bit non-traditional. So I do say I'm a cash-based half of my referrals come from, well, not the referrals, half of my payments come from a scholarship that's available in Florida for children with several diagnoses, primarily autism, who are either in private school or homeschooled. So it falls perfectly under what I do. And the parent applies for the scholarship for their child, and then they can use that money for services like OT, PT, speech ABA, and a bunch of other things. And so I just request reimbursement directly from that scholarship, and I get paid directly from them. So that's kind of nice. So those are my two avenues of income.
That's really cool, Reina.
Yeah.
I've never heard about anybody doing that, but probably that's available in other states too.
Yeah, it's really unique. Someone told me there was possibly something like that in Arizona. I'm in Florida.
Mhm.
Something Arizona, California, New Mexico are like the three states that someone told me there could possibly be something, but I'm not really sure. It hasn't been confirmed. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
pretty unique to the state.
Oh, that's really cool. I love
Mhm.
that,
I
and
know.
then it's like it makes it easier for people to get services and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Cool. So with like the whole cash pay thing, say it's a client who, is not doing the scholarship, and like
Mhm.
you're making the pitch for a sale for all cash pay. Do you sell like the 12 weeks as a package?
So I don't make anyone like pay up front, and I also don't
Mhm.
make anyone sign like that they're gonna commit to 12 weeks, which is probably like a bad thing. But
Yeah.
I do like present it as a 12-week, and I do present it as the full price. But then I end up just like they put their credit card in my system, and then I
Mhm.
ended up just charging them monthly. And so
Okay.
like in their mind, they're committing to this full price for X amount of visits, but I'm really charging them monthly just because I don't know. I just feel like I can't. I can't sell somebody like $1,000. I don't know. I've tried to sell packages in
Mhm.
the patient side, and it really hasn't worked well for me. The monthly, not, I mean, not month, did I say monthly? I meant weekly. The weekly or per session, when I charge them like that, they're fine with it. And they commit to the 12 weeks. It's just that they'd rather be
Mhm.
billed weekly.
Yeah, and I think that's good to know for like your population, the people that you're working with, kind of
Mhm.
understanding what they are comfortable with,
Yeah.
because like for me, like what I do in my practice and what I teach people is to sell packages, but I feel like with what you're saying, kind of just pre-framing it as like here's the full thing
Hmm.
and this is how the payments are going to work.
Yeah.
You still are kind of selling like one whole product
Right.
instead of just like session to session and we don't know
Hmm.
where we're going kind of
Hmm.
thing. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I just don't make them pay up front. But I have had someone that just like canceled after 5 sessions and they just said, it wasn't like a good fit. And I don't say, well, you signed up for 12 weeks, like you need to finish the 12 weeks. I just like let it go.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, like if it's like another thing we just talked about I just had a group coaching call. Like if you're not a good fit for that person, like you have to acknowledge that. And you're not
Mhm.
going to be everyone's like cup of tea. And I don't want to force somebody into a therapy relationship if it's not a good fit. So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's another good reason to have, your back pocket full of other like therapists that
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
say like, okay, totally fine. I have my friend here who, can take over.
Hmm.
How often do you deal with the insurance question? Like, do
Oh
you
my
pay for insurance?
gosh. Yeah.
Tell us about that, Reina.
Oh, all the time. It's horrible. In the very beginning, which I'm like, I never want to take insurance, but I'm maybe possibly leaning towards like taking Medicaid because a lot of my population, again, understanding your population, like they get Medicaid. And so many times, like people were just like, do you take insurance? Yes or no? And then, learning through other like business programs, how to handle that question. Like,
Hmm.
it's not just like, I just want to be like blanket no, like I don't take insurance, sorry, like next. But I do try to like direct the conversation into other things and say, well, like what is it that you're needing, how can I help you, why are you seeking my services, and then explaining everything, and at least just like opening their minds to the idea of paying cash and why they would want to pay cash. And so now I think COVID has really helped the situation because people know like they just have to pay cash for telehealth. And I mean, not all the time, but that's kind of like where it's headed because insurance wasn't approving it, etc. So it's a little bit easier now, but yeah, in the beginning it was really, really tough question. I hate it. I hate that question.
I know, yeah, and I think sometimes that's what can be one of the reasons that holds people back from doing this is they're like,
Hmm.
well, I don't really want to take insurance slash I don't really understand insurance, so
Right.
like, how do I even answer that question if somebody asks?
Hmm.
Um, and it is kind of a hard thing, but I typically suggest and do like what you said, well, before we talk about like the insurance thing, what do you even need help with? Like, can I actually really help you?
Exactly.
Because if I can't, insurance thing doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um, and then, like you said, what do you usually tell people about like the pros of doing cash versus going insurance?
Yeah, so I like to say that I explain that they're gonna get like an OT in their back pocket. And so they get my phone number, they can text me and send me videos and pictures and stuff like that whenever. Aside from the weekly calls, they get a 15-minute phone call in addition. And when I was working the clinic, I would never give anybody my phone number. They wouldn't be able to reach me, like they couldn't. And I'll also like cater to their schedule if we want to work on the routine in the morning at like 7 a.m. If that's what they want to work on, I'm willing to do that. Versus in the clinic, it only opens, 9 to 5 or whatever. Then you're stuck with that. You can't work on the evening routine, bedtime routine. And so I can better serve my clients and what they want to work on when they want to work on it.
Mhm.
Um, and so those are a few of, the things that I like to highlight aside from all the other benefits of telehealth, um, whatever, no travel time or the weather, etc. But those are the things that I like to highlight that I feel like set me apart from clinic or in-person telehealth, is like this feeling of like I can contact her whenever I need to, like she's a friend, a parent, coach, whatever you want to call me, OT too, and I can get my questions answered whenever. So
Yeah, I think that's really, really great because I think, like, us as medical professionals, like, we've obviously noticed, how quality of care can vary in a situation when you're seeing a billion patients versus like just one at a time. And for me, like, as a patient, it is so important to me when my provider pays attention to me. Like,
yeah,
I get so much more out of it. And I think that patients are starting to notice that too.
yeah,
And like I've had like two of my patients have told me specifically, like, I pay you because you hang out with me for an entire hour, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Um, and I think that's a great reason to bring up, and just be like, well, do you like want somebody who's really, really there for you all the time? Or, do you want somebody who sees you for 5 minutes once a week?
exactly.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Awesome. Good advice, Reina. Let's see. So if somebody wanted to start their practice, um, and they were just like really on the fence, like they kind of have this like whisper in their ear that like maybe I should start my own thing, but they aren't really sure, what would you tell them?
Do it. Do it. It's so freeing. It's so like it's so nice, like just to do, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just so controlling that I'm like, I want to do things my way. Like every job I've been to, I'm like, yeah, we could do this better, this better, this better. And so like I'm not saying I'm the best, but like you can constantly just like change what you want to change based on like your client's feedback, and just like be the best like provider that you can be without the limitations of like productivity or a schedule or what documentation requirements and all this stuff. And it's just like I can do what I want, how I want, when I want, and it's just amazing. It's freeing. And stop working for the man. Start your own business.
Yes. Oh my God. So that's what I tell people all the time. Just like, yeah, like no more being with the man. We're gonna go against the
Yes.
grain. We're gonna
Yes.
do things differently because it's better.
Yeah. And you get to be creative, and you get to, yeah, you get to develop your own stuff, and yeah, just use so many more skills too, I feel like.
Yeah, and like I think one of the biggest things for me too is I feel like I've grown so much more as a person, like not even as a business or a professional, but like as a person, I have grown leaps and bounds
Mm,
beyond what I would have if I had stayed in the regular clinic.
yeah. I know. My husband tells me that all the time. He's like, you have learned so much and grown so much like through this whole process. And it is like it's all such a life-changing experience to be an entrepreneur. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like I really wouldn't. I get to work from home. I get to be here with my daughters. I mean, I get to do whatever I want, set my own schedule. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And like it is a heck of a ton of work.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah. It is a lot of work. Not gonna lie.
don't let us mislead you in any way about that. But there's something about being in charge of, like your own thing and having like this much like effort and energy and
Hmm.
stress than like being under somebody else's umbrella.
Hmm.
When you're in charge of everything, then it's so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a lot. It is a lot of work, but I feel like for the amount of work that you have to do, it's like that much more rewarding. Like it's,
Yeah.
I would be, if I was busting my butt this much in a job, I wouldn't get like any recognition. And like I don't get any recognition here, but it's like self gratification, right? Like
Hmm.
because I'm accomplishing something, I'm doing it, and I see like the progress firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's like crafting something with your bare
Hmm.
hands essentially.
Yeah.
And I know like one of my clients, I'm working with him and building his practice. He has recently gone back to like a PRN position for cash flow. So hot tip, all you guys out there, if you're just starting out,
Hmm.
probably keep a cash flow position, and if
Hmm.
it can be part-time, that's good. Um, But he just started there a couple weeks ago, and he's like, oh my God, I completely remember why I left, corporate healthcare, because like in a regular setting for most people, you're not really working towards anything. Like you
Mm-hmm.
kind of clock in, clock out, and like, yeah, you take Con Ed, but that doesn't necessarily lead you anywhere.
Right.
And, do you really want to be doing that for the next 30 years of your life?
Mm-hmm.
Or should we try to build something now and see
Yeah.
what we can do with that?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, me too. So for somebody who is just kind of getting started, like, maybe like 0 to 3 months in, somewhere in there, what is like your number one piece of advice for somebody first getting started?
I would say organization. I think especially as OTs, we get caught up in like all these ideas and just like scatterbrain. And so we were just talking about this too, like a Trello board and just like organizing your life, your business,
Yeah.
is key because you have so much freedom to do what you want. You can just go like spider web into so many things and get nowhere. And so I think just like organization and focus is probably my number one tip.
Yeah. I think that's a really good piece of advice. I don't think anybody has really brought up yet. So thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just started using Asana a couple of weeks ago, and it's been life-changing. Instead of keeping everything in my head or in like this notebook that's just like completely random.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Project management software, everybody.
Yes. Yeah, it's huge. Like I have everything on there. I have my podcast stuff. I have my never-ending to-do list. I have my course program. I have everything is like listed in there. And once you create a list and create something, then it's like you have your systems in place and for growth too. Like if you want to then hire someone, you can share your Trello board or your Asana and have them see like the process that you went through and it's already like laid out there for you. So yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's great.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, cool. So that brings us to our last little segment here is self-promo time. So tell us about all the things you have going on.
Okay, let's see.
And
We'll start at
yeah,
the bottom. You
okay.
can get my book on Amazon, the Telehealth
Yay.
OT. It's a really basic, but like all nice little package of how to do telehealth. I'm sure it needs to be updated, especially now after coronavirus, because so much has changed. But at least it get you started. I have my Telehealth OT group on Facebook, which is growing so fast I can't even keep up. I think we're at like close to 8,000 members, which
Holy,
is ridiculous. I
that's
don't know.
amazing.
I don't know where these people find me. Let me see. Okay, 7,900 members.
Oh my gosh.
So come join us. And
Yeah.
then what else? Okay, then I have my Telehealth OT mini course, which is again like a how to get started with telehealth course. Nothing really to do with business. It's just like nothing about telehealth. You go take this course. You can learn like the quick version. And then I have a membership, which I just recently started about a month ago. It's still growing and it's this catch-all for all telehealth resources. So anything I've come across from interventions, evaluations, telehealth companies, laws and regulations, like all this stuff is going into what I call the Vault, the Telehealth OT Vault. And it's a membership. And then I have my biggest project, which is my baby and I absolutely love, is my 12-week business program for any OTs wanting to start a telehealth private practice. And we are in week 2 and it's going amazing. We have group coaching calls, business presentations, not just from me, but from other OTs who are doing amazing things in entrepreneurship. And then we also have Tech Days, which is a latest edition where other OTs are going to be presenting on Zoom and Google Meets and Boom Cards and all the other telehealth like stuff that we like to use, like Bitmoji and all these other things that are coming up. And so I'm super excited about that. So those are all my offerings for my coaching side.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to end up building like a one-on-one program. I do have a couple one-on-one coaching clients. It's not something I do regularly right now, but I'm working on building that. And then for my private patients, I do one-on-one, and I'm hoping to expand into groups. I think groups are really like a more affordable way for parents to participate in OT and still get a lot of value. And so I want to try to do some virtual groups, OT groups. So, whew, that was a lot.
Awesome. Cool. That's like only a couple of
Oh,
things.
just a few things,
Yeah.
It's all on my website.
Yeah, and it's all in your Trello, so like everything's fine.
Oh my God, if I lose my Trello board, oh my God, my Trello board wiped out one day. I was like, what? Like, but then it came back. Whew.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Oh man. The other thing I was gonna ask you really quick is, are all of the the kids that you work with, are they all in Florida, or do you cross state lines for any reason?
Nope, just Florida. There's a very gray line about crossing states and telehealth versus if you're like doing OT treatment versus just like a parent consultation. I choose not to cross that line. I think it's too gray. I don't want to risk my license. I know people that do it, but I just stick to Florida.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah.
Sounds good to me. That's what I've been doing, but I also too know people who say, whatever, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah, I just can't. I'm not that much of a risk taker.
Yeah. Not right now.
Yeah.
Cool. And then last thing, I know we have your awesome Facebook group, which I believe we should have a link to, but how can people contact you if they have questions?
My website is telehealthotservices.com. You can text me 954-501-0707. That's my business line. You can shoot me a message. Friend request me. I have so many new friends through this whole process. And I love connecting with people because that's what you need to do when you're a business owner. So connect with me on Facebook.
Yay! Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Reina. This was amazing.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely let either myself or Reina know if you have any questions on any of this stuff. Both of us are very capable and very happy to help you start your business because it's amazing. So, yay. Awesome. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.